Well, hey guys, welcome back to another video, and I'm finally using the new microphone, and I won't have to use that lapel mics from last year, from the, well, actually I just used it months ago when I was talking about the same topic we are talking about right now. We are going to talk about the Eurovision Song Contest, and how I am not going to watch it next year, and how I don't want to support it, and how I don't want to even see any content of it just for next year, or maybe in the following years. And I want to talk about the Eurovision Song Contest, and what is it about? What is it even about? And who organizes this? And basically, just how does this contest work? How does things happen in this contest? So I want to give you just a little bit of a backstory. I've actually known about Eurovision before, as far as 2023. Well, actually, as far as 2021, I knew about Eurovision. Actually, I think I've known about it even before 2021, and even before I've discovered it. I just didn't care about it. I actually watched some Eurovision videos back in 2021. I watched the performance of Belgium, of Italy, and France, and then I was like, oh cool, they have this thing. And it wasn't until 2 years later that I rediscovered it, or I guess 3 years later, that I rediscovered the contest, and I instantly fell in love with the contest itself. Eurovision Song Contest is its official name. And the contest was first held in Switzerland. Back in, okay, I'm just gonna search it up. First ever. It was back in 1956. The first ever Eurovision Song Contest was back in 1956, held in Lugano, which is I think the Italian-speaking part of Switzerland. And Eurovision has been a very, very big part of, not just European culture, but also around the world, because Eurovision isn't just limited to Europe. However, the only countries that can host it is, the European countries. But we've got countries outside of Europe that have participated in Eurovision before. Right now, the country that's currently participating in in Eurovision, that's outside of Europe, is Australia. Yes, Australia. And you know why? Because Aussies love Eurovision, and then they've wanted to join the contest for like so long now, that they were invited back in 2015. It was supposed to be a one-off thing, one-time thing, but then ever since 2015 they've started to compete, and they're still competing until today. So it's really cool how even the big fans outside of Europe get to perform within Eurovision. Now, there was another country before Australia that is still participating in Eurovision, and is currently in such hot water right now. Not just in Eurovision, but throughout the whole world. And that country is Israel. Yes, Israel is in the Eurovision Song Contest, and they've been there since, I don't know, the 70s or something. They've been competing there since the 70s. They've won multiple times. The most recent one was back in 2018 with Netta Toy, and I believe they've sent the first ever transgender contestant in the song contest. So yeah. Now I want to talk about what happened recently, but before that, I want to talk about what's the purpose of this song contest. Well, actually, I don't even know what's the purpose of it, because I haven't even watched it in the past 10 years or so. I've just started watching it back in 2023. But I believe its purpose is to, you know, to unite the people of Europe or something. To basically just, to showcase your culture, to showcase European culture through music. And this song contest was done after World War Two. It was made after World War Two. It rose from the ashes of World War Two, and it's really sad it's really sad because of the decisions they're doing right now with the contest. See, recently they held a referendum if Israel should get out of the contest or not. Everyone voted in favor of Israel being in the contest. And unfortunately, I cannot tolerate what Israel is doing. And this has been going on. Actually, Israel's genocide has been going on for years now. It didn't happen in 2023, Israel could have been kicked out much earlier. Why is everyone just talking about this? But however, I'm still glad that everyone is bringing awareness about this. But I feel like the contest should have been boycotted much earlier. Maybe somewhere back in 2009 or 2014 or 2015, when Israel had some wars with the Gaza Strip. And honestly, maybe everyone wasn't just really that informed back then, but now, because of the internet and stuff, everyone's informed, and I'm glad everyone is informed about this, about the wrongdoings of the Israeli government. And yeah, no, I am not going to consume any Eurovision content for next year. And I have a bad feeling that Israel might even win next year. See, the atrocities are just beyond political. They've also been accused of rigging the votes. So it's just, other than being political, they're straight up cheating the contest. And Russia was actually banned from Eurovision back in 2020 or 2022 because of their invasion against Ukraine. But then Israel isn't banned for some reason. So how are you gonna say you're united by music when you've banned a country? That's been their slogan since 2023. I like the message. I like the message that you are trying to portray. But are you embodying the message that the message that you are trying to portray? I don't think so. I don't think you are trying to unite by music. You are dividing us by your decisions. The EBU is dividing us by their decisions. And obviously, I don't think they'd even do anything after seeing this video. There's a lot of better videos out there regarding this issue, regarding this kerfuffle, regarding this saga, regarding this thing. There's a lot of videos out there. There's a lot of good videos out there. There's a lot of more in-depth explanation out there about this type of situation, about this kind of situation within the contest. Yet the EBU has not done anything, and they proceeded to let Israel in the contest even more. And actually, I like how some countries withdrew from the contest because of this. Spain withdrew from the contest. Slovenia, Ireland, Netherlands. I don't know. It's like 3 countries. Did I say 3 countries already? Spain, one of the big 5, by the way, but I will explain it later. Spain, Slovenia, Ireland, the Netherlands. Yeah, 4 countries already withdrew from the contest. And now I want to explain to you the big 5 and why Spain withdrawing from the contest actually matters. It matters. Spain is one of the big 5, and if you don't know what the big 5 is, it's basically the big 5. The big 5 countries that contribute so much to the EBU in the contest, and these big 5 countries are Spain, France, Italy, Germany, and the UK. It used to be the big 4 because Italy did not go back to the contest until 2010 or 2011, but now it's the big 5 since Italy is back. And I guess it's the big 4 once again because Spain's gone. But yeah, and they automatically get qualified for the grand finals. But last year they just started performing in the semi-finals, and the semi-finals were introduced back in the 2000s. I don't know which year actually, but you know, it used to be just one single contest and one single grand final, but now there's been like grand finals ever since the 2000s. And since the Big Five exists, they don't go through the semi-finals because they're the biggest contributors and other stuff. And you know, there've been some countries that have spoken out about this, like, this is so unfair, and you know, yada yada yada. So I guess last year they just, you know, hey, come on, just maybe perform live in the semi-finals, so it wouldn't be like, okay, you're qualified now for the grand final or something. Yeah. But anyways, I'm getting quite sidetracked here, but I wanna get back to this, you know, to the main topic, like Israel being in the contest. And I just really, really think that if you are going to ban Russia, you should ban Israel as well, you know. But if you didn't want to ban Israel in the first place, then you shouldn't have banned Russia. You know, there's different outcomes for the EBU when making decisions. And obviously there is, because they have a big following of people that's watching the contests. Their contests. Because there's been multiple contests of the contests. I don't even know. I'm getting sidetracked once again. But yeah, every decision they make will obviously get backlash, will obviously get criticisms. So my first thought was, what if the EBU did not ban Russia because they did not ban Israel in the first place? What if the EBU didn't just care at all about the countries that were in the contest, and they just kept on, you know, letting them participate? They don't want to ban Israel, so why not unban Russia and let them participate once again? Aren't they doing the same thing as the Israelis? You know, aren't they waging a war against another group of people? Or what if they just banned both countries? You banned Russia, right? Why don't you ban Israel? Oh yeah, I forgot, Israel is your ally. That's the main point here. This is the reason why these countries don't want to vote against Israel. It's because they are allies with Israel. They are allies with this country. If you look at the relations of Israel, it's mostly the West, which is why everyone will defend this country, and which is why the EBU banned Russia and not Israel. It's because the EBU is an ally with this country. Just look at the relations. There's no denying that they are in relations, or they have a good diplomatic whatever with Israel. There's no denying that. Just look into it. There's no denying. That's the problem, you know? And I'm gonna say this, each side has their own agenda. The West and the East has their own agenda. Whatever you may come from, West, East, North, South, you have your own agenda. And you are gonna pull other countries and other people into your agenda. So, they're allies with Israel, which is why they don't want to ban it. And you know who voted against the banning of Israel? Germany, Austria, a bunch of other countries that I forgot the names of, or I just didn't look at the list or something. I think one of them is Italy, I don't know. And there should be a clear, distinct line between Jewish people and Israelis who bow down to the government, and also decent Israeli people. There's Israelis that do not support this war. There's Israelis that are against what the government is doing, what their government is doing. There are Israelis that have moved out of the country because they don't want what the government is doing. And the Jewish people aren't Israelis, by the way. There's Jewish people out there of different nationalities, and not all Jewish people supports Israel or something. If that Jew supports Israel, then they must be a Zionist and not a Jew. And I just want to remind you that the ones who wage war against another country is the government. The people did not ask for this. This might be, I'm gonna say, some pretty controversial stuff, but I believe that the IDF and then Hamas is both at fault here. They are constantly just pushing their own agendas against each other. It is their choice to wage war at each other, and people in both sides are getting affected. Listen to me. It is their choice. It is the IDF's choice. It is Hamas's choice to wage war on each other. One hit back, the other hit back. And so it goes on. It is their choice. The people never asked for this. They never did. Palestinians never asked to attack Israel. Because guess what? They don't want to be attacked even more and get killed. They did not ask to attack Israel. It was the decision of Hamas, and it was the decision of the IDF to attack back. It was those two organizations. It was their decision to start this war. It is the government's decision. It is not the people's decision. It is clearly the government's decision. Oh yeah, and I want to just, put this as a side note. The Palestine in, the east, the one in the east that's near Jordan, is actually held by a different government. It is the actual Palestinian government. The reason why Hamas is considered as a terrorist organization is because they actually seized control of Gaza. And then I'm realizing this and I'm like, alright, I know who to side on. It's the people. We don't side on the government because it's clearly their choice to do this. And after I found out that Hamas was actually a different organization from the actual Palestinian government, the one that is near Jordan, I just immediately went like, oh my gosh. So, this is, you probably won't agree with me, but this is how I view this is how I believe in this. It's the government's decision that's doing this. And you know who's even speaking out right now on boycotting Israel in Eurovision or not? It's the government as well. It's the government, it's the state-owned broadcasting organization or organizations that's having a say on this. If you've seen the recent news and posts, like from Germany or Austria, it is the Chancellor's decision to not boycott Israel from the contest. See, the people is not asking for it. It is the government that's doing this. It is the government that's doing this. The people never asked for this. The people never asked for war. It was the government's choice. It was the ruling power. It was the ruling regime's choice. The regime of the IDF, the regime of Benjamin Netanyahu, the regime of Hamas. It was their choice to wage war on each other. And now the people within their territories are being affected, especially in Gaza. still mostly the fault of Israel, though. They did not want a two-state solution. They kept insisting on one single Israel. You see, I think it's a win-win if there is a two-state solution. Because if you allow Palestine the right to exist, and if you give them land, it is a win for them. Because, they finally get recognition. They finally get a big land. I don't know. And I guess it's a win for them too, since they would, stop getting attacked. And I want to talk about anti-Semitism. If we are talking about anti-Semitism, it is being racist against Arabs, Jews, and let's say even Maltese people. It is being racist against people from countries of Semitic backgrounds. So let's say, for example, I will list down the languages of within the Semitic family. So that's Maltese, Hebrew, and Arabic. And within the Gulf region, most of you people are Semitic. So if I were to hate on an Emirati or something, I'd be considered an anti-Semitic. But what Israel is saying, they're twisting the definition of anti-Semitic. It is just hate against the Israeli people. It is just hate against Jews. And they're using the Jews as an excuse for their atrocities. The Jews are literally just sitting on the side doing nothing, minding their own business, and you're gonna pull them into this. And guess what? There's more anti-Semitism coming. You don't want anti-Semitism, right? So why are you pulling Jews in here? You don't want anti-Semitism, so you stop this. But you're pulling other people that's just minding their own business into your whatever this is or something. I gotta stop talking about this before I say another controversial thing. But yeah, it's just really sad what this contest has come to. See, this contest has helped me during a sad time in my life. Not a depressing time in my life or a hard time in my life. During a sad time in my life. When I discovered this song contest, when I discovered this thing, again, I immediately fell in love with it. I love the music they produced. And then the 2023 edition brought a tear to my eye. Especially the You'll Never Walk Alone. The rendition by Duncan Lawrence. Just watching that made me cry. Everyone was so united at that moment. And it was because they were singing for Ukraine. The one that's being invaded by Russia. And that moment was beautiful. But are you only going to unite against something if it's for your own interest? Because sure, it is beautiful. but Ukraine is an ally with them. So are you going to unite something when it only feeds your interest? See, I've always talked about the message of unity. I believe that if we unite for something, it should be for the greater good. It should be for the good of our country. I've talked about the recent corruption cases in this country, and I've talked about how we should unite to fight against corruption. So, are you willing to unite for the greater good? Are you willing to unite for the greater good? Are you willing to stand against oppression? Are you willing to stand against corruption? Are you willing to stand against a country who has done atrocities to a group of people? Or are you just gonna unite when it feeds your own interest? EBU, I'm talking to you. Did you only unite back in 2023 because it was your interest to do so? If so, then it makes me sad. Anyways, for everyone who's watching this, whether you're a Euro fan or not, I believe that whatever I'm saying here shouldn't just be applied to the song contest. It should be applied to, you know what, I don't even fucking know. That's the world right now. It may seem hopeless right now, but over the course of years, things will change. Right now, it is quite blurry, but maybe someday, just someday, the corruption here in the Philippines would stop. Israel would stop their atrocities and agree to a two-state solution. People in Gaza would stop suffering. Hamas would eventually stop their stuff, Israelis would change their view of Palestinians. Someday things will change. And I know it will change because I've seen it before myself. I've seen things change right before my eyes. I believe in change because I know there is change, and I've seen there is change. Do you believe in change? I believe in change. But anyways, end of conversation. I'm not going to watch the contest. I'm not gonna check out any of its content for next year. I was really looking forward into next year's edition. And especially because it's the 70th anniversary. However, this is on them. This is on the EBU. You did this to yourselves. Anyways, that's it. I'll see you in the next one.